Hi everyone, welcome to Better Together Progressive Horsemanship. I'm Danny Fitzpatrick.
I'm Eliza. Welcome. It's a beautiful Saturday here. We're out in the sunshine getting some beautiful, almost summer sun. It's getting there,
Getting
spring
close.
sun.
It's really starting to feel good. Getting a bit done during the days now with the warmth.
Good on the Gold Coast to be in the sun.
Yeah, for sure. We were just roping the dummy, and I was just helping Eliza a little bit with her swing, and it was interesting. It wasn't really meant to be a lesson, but it kind of ended up being a little bit that way. And I could see there was a little bit of a hitch in Eliza's swing.
You mean I'm not perfect?
Well, you're nearly there. 9 out of 10. And I was trying to verbalise it, and I couldn't quite get it. And one of the things that we used to do when we were rodeo roping and steer wrestling and stuff like that was sometimes if we were having trouble was video it. And so I thought what I'd do, just to try and, because the first thing you have to do when you're trying to learn is recognise that maybe what you're doing, you think you're doing it one way, but it's not necessarily what's really happening. So I thought the best way to do it was to video me roping the dummy, and then I videoed Eliza, and as soon as she watched it, she sort of went, ah, okay.
Yeah, because what you were saying to me was I was swinging here and close to my body and not getting any movement in my shoulder, and I'm like, I feel like I'm, doing around the worlds here. I feel like I'm using my whole arm. But when I watched the video, I could see clearly what he meant. And emulation is an amazing thing. So I use emulation. All the good trainers and riders that I watch them in order to see how they use their body, and then I try and emulate that. And it's been really good having Danny roping in front of me because I've tried to emulate that. But I had a hitch in that I had a really bad spot in my swing where I really wasn't reaching back, and I didn't get, until I saw the video, I didn't get that I was completely locked in my wrist and everything was all locked up. Even though I felt relaxed, I felt like I was doing all the right things and following instruction, my body was actually really locked up, and in the video I could see that. So it was really cool to work through it. And then the other thing that I want to talk about is breaking things down step by step. Danny did a really good job, and it's one of the things that I see a lot that really helps people is break it down one thing at a time that you need to fix, because I got a little bit frustrated and I just had to stop and take a breath and go, it's okay, you're just learning this, it's all good. But even though Danny was breaking it down and doing a really good job of that, I still got frustrated with it because we're all human. But what I see a lot is trainers and instructors not breaking it down enough for the student. But you don't even have to break it down, you have to say why. And Danny did a really good job of explaining, I was missing a spot over here in my swing where I wasn't opening my arm, and that meant my loop was just swinging sort of right close to me and not getting any power in it. So it was a really cool thing to go through in my head, that step, and then why I had to. And he had to actually stand back there and make me point at him for me to feel it. As soon as I felt it, I could see the the loop was staying open. Everything felt amazing. It was really good.
And I think that's the other thing. There's 4 different ways, I think, of learning.
Yeah.
And so that's, sometimes when I'm trying to teach, I try and go over the verbal, the visual, the feel, and what's the other?
Kinesthetic.
Kinesthetic. Yeah. So
I can't remember the name of them.
Yeah. Anyway, but there is 4. So if I'm trying to verbalise it and it's not working, use the video, which is visual.
Video yourself.
Yeah, and that's a really good thing, because I think mentally, and we deal with the mental side of things quite a bit. It's not just about training; it's about having your head right for the training, to accept the training or to teach your horse. And I think when you video yourself, when you think you're doing it one way and you see yourself on video, like it used to frustrate me. I would think I was doing something wonderful, and then someone would video me and I'd be like, oh my God, you hang your head. But it's good, then your mind actually, I think your mind changes and opens and becomes more accepting of then making the change.
Yeah, what it does is it gives you an awareness to a part of your body.
Yes.
I realised that I wasn't opening my swing at all. I thought I was really opening my swing, but I wasn't. So it gave me an awareness of how much more I had to open it up. when I saw it. I felt like I was opening it. And
Yep.
it wasn't until I saw it that I didn't have the awareness that I actually wasn't. So it gives you awareness. We all hate watching ourselves on video, let's be honest.
Yep.
I hate watching myself ride. You know, people go, oh, you're such a beautiful, smooth rider. I look at myself and go, oh my God, there's so much to work on. But it is one of the best ways to learn and improve the way you're riding.
And so we are talking about roping here, but
Yeah.
it also then it
Well-
moves over to your horsemanship, to everything.
And that was an interesting thing. Sorry to interrupt you there, but it brought up a point. You'll get used to it. It brought up a really good point, because while I was doing it, you know, when I'm teaching riding, I'm really particular about having nice forward hands so we don't lock our hands and we don't twist our wrist down. And that's exactly what I was doing. My hand was locked and I was holding the rope and I wasn't loosening my wrist up. Now it's interesting how, you know, people might not be interested in learning how to rope, but I say give it a go, because it actually teaches you really good feel on
Yep.
holding. You know, it's all about how you hold it, and it's all about how you hold your reins or your rope if you're doing, you know, online stuff. So, you know, roping may not interest you. If feel and timing with your horsemanship interests you, then just give it a go, because I found it fascinating how much it's added to my feel and timing with the
Yep.
horsemanship.
And the other thing as well too that it does do, when you learn something new, especially if you're a teacher, if
Yeah.
you do some coaching, and all of a sudden you're the student again, and you realise how frustrating it can be for a student, and you start to think, well, maybe they could have explained this a little better to me, or they could have broken this down. And it's something I really try and do in my horsemanship as well. If my horses aren't getting it, break it down. If they still don't get it, break it down further.
Yeah.
And I try and do that with people that I'm teaching as well. So just keep breaking it down,
Yeah.
and think about the 4 different ways for humans, of course, that they learn, and try and explain it in every single way if you can.
And also, as a student, ask why.
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
do I need to do it that way? You know, that was one of the things. And if your teacher can't explain why, you need a new teacher, because you need an understanding. So frustration comes from a lack of understanding. So, you know, I spent my whole time, because Danny was like, open your loop, open your swing. And I'm like, how? What? Where do I do that? Why do I do that? And he was really good at explaining it. And then I just had to do it enough to get the feel for it. So don't be afraid to ask why. Why do I need to do that? Or how do I do that? You know, it's so easy for a teacher to say, you know, put your weight down in your stirrups and stand up straight, you know, sit up straight. Well, that's fine to say, but you want to actually break it down more. You need to explain why your heels need to be down, why your weight needs to be even in the stirrups, why you need to stack your spine, you know. And so when I teach somebody that, I'll explain, you know, from go to woe, why we need to be balanced and what changes when we are balanced. And I'll even get a student to do something the wrong way first, then get them to do it the right way. And again, videoing them and showing them that is a really powerful tool. So
Actually, can I give a really good example
sure.
of something I had to learn years ago? And it was good having several different teachers, but when I was trying to rodeo rope and learn to rope, of course your horse is going from a stopped position in the back of the box to, you know, by 3 strides they're at full gallop. So you have to actually learn to get to the front of the saddle, go with the horse, and then come up and go to the front of the saddle. And I struggled with it for a long time. And everyone said, you know, you have to get to the front of the saddle, get to the front of the saddle. They went on and had me loping circles. But when I'd go to rope, I still couldn't stay up there. I'd get up and I'd fall back. I'd get up and I'd fall back. And I couldn't catch anything. I felt stupid.
Yep.
And then someone said to me, for it to happen, you have to get your knee back behind the point of your hip. So I had my knee in front of the point of my hip, because I'd get up in the saddle and fall back down. Get up and I couldn't hold it, and I'd fall back down. As soon as someone explained that to me and
Which
said,
is opening your hip flexor.
yeah, and I'm not good with hip flexors, but when I started to get my feet back in the stirrups and push my legs back behind me, and I got my knee back behind the point of my hip, I got up and stayed up in the saddle. In fact, all I had to do was just roll my weight forward and I was at the front of the saddle. But when someone broke that down and made that clear to me there, the light bulb just went on for me, and I never fell back in the saddle. But for 2 or 3 years, I got forward, fell back, got forward, fell back. As soon as someone explained it, bingo.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's why you need a coach that does what you do. So, you know, not everybody wants to do roping, not everybody wants to do liberty and all that sort of thing. Find yourself a coach that does what you do and does it well, so, so that they can explain it, excuse me. So, yeah, so I think that, you know, that's what we were talking about today, and it was really cool for me to go through to be the student, and to think about having to stop, think about, emulate, change the way I was doing things, control my mind. That was the biggest thing I had to do, was breathe through the frustration of not being able to get it. You know, at one point I said, why can't I get this? You know,
and threw a rope on the ground, which I had to pick up.
I did not. I don't chuck wobblies like my pig. He chucks wobblies. But it's really fun to be in that position. For me, I as much as I got frustrated, I actually love learning new things and opening new doors. So it was really cool. So we hope that helps. Get out there and video yourself. Feel free at any point to send the videos into us, and we can help you with it. So that's what we're here for, to give you, you know, a helping hand if you're stuck with anything. Danny's the roper. I do a little bit more of the horsemanship, and we sort of swap roles every now and then, although I'm not that great at roping yet. He's great at the horsemanship, but I'll get there. But yeah, if you need any help with anything, we'll give you a hand. All right, guys, have a great weekend.
See you guys.